Now, this is the Throwback. This is Let's Drone Out's podcast number 185, Making Reactors. I was on the show talking to the guys about FPV back in March 2019. I had been flying maybe a little over a year with mini quads, so I was super nervous, but it was a ton of fun. They're talking about having a ladies' night, which I appeared on one of those episodes too. I'm hoping they'll invite me back so I can talk to some female pilots and the guys again real soon. But first, before you watch this old relic, I have a plea. Jack and Tony, hosts on the show, are having a contest. Real mature contest. They want to see who can hit 1,000 subscribers first. Now, Tony is only 30 away. I've subscribed to him with every account I have, so I've done my part. If you could help him out and subscribe to his channel, that would be awesome. I have no idea what the winner gets or what happens to the loser, but I will keep you informed, and maybe you can even come up with some ideas and put them in the comments. I've linked Tony's YouTube in the description, but his username is the ToneStar1FPV. He has a lot of great content. He flies X-Class drones, so you won't be disappointed if you subscribe.
And action.
Jack doesn't know what to do.
We're going to wait
8 o'clock.
We're going to wait 10 minutes just for traditional sake.
Hello and welcome to Let's Drone Out. And tonight we are joined by Andrew/Frank.
Good evening.
MakoReactra.
Hello.
Even though it should be MakoReactor. Final Fantasy VII, One Life. Sorry. One Life. We're joined by the sexy NJ.
Hello.
God, I've missed you. My little Tony.
Bonjour.
Oh, sorry. And everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello. Look at that. There's a whole row of people. So much better than a few weeks ago.
And everyone's usual, oh my God, Jack's an idiot. Jack's here. Bright until I fly. How are we all doing?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Well, you all have your drink, so.
I'm not with it, but yeah, we are here to talk about your wonderful trip, Mako. And you've been and had some experiences.
Straight in there, Jack.
And Tony.
I know, we're getting right into it.
Tony upset you by texting you, asking about your dad.
Oh.
I felt really bad.
The social line. He didn't mean it.
Well, it just got awkward now.
Yeah, I know.
I look at it, well, I think actually Tony might have said this. It's more to honor him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Because he was a very intelligent man and he made you.
Yeah, true. I guess
We'll get back to that bit in a minute. Should we talk about the... Where did you go?
All right. Well, it was the New York City Drone Film Festival, but it was actually in Jersey City, so it wasn't in New York City. They just called it that. And the Friday night was the film festival, and I wasn't there for that. I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't make it for that because there were some really cool FPV pilots nominated for awards. It was a lot of aerial photography, but NERC was nominated, Red FPV was nominated, and I think there might have been GAD 707 was nominated too. So that was really neat, but I didn't get to see that. I went on Saturday, which was at the Science Museum. It was called Day of Drones, and it was really a bunch of workshops, panels, classes that you could take, as well as some demos. They did some fly demos and tiny whoop racing. So there was a full day of drone activity. It was a lot of fun. I can kind of go into some specifics about my panel if you want.
Yeah, go.
Okay, so there were different panels. Oh My God had a panel. I got to see his about FPV freestyling. Andy Shendron had a panel, and unfortunately I missed his because his was at the same time as mine. But mine was basically bridging the gender gap in drones, and it was myself and 4 other women on the panel. And it really just showed me the variety in drones. These women were more aerial photography drone pilots. They all had their Part 107s, all in businesses. One is from Australia, and she leads this company that basically is like lifeguarding and watching for sharks in the ocean.
That's a quite cool
With
job.
drones, like that sounds pretty sick.
I
And
wouldn't
then,
mind-
what was that?
I wouldn't mind doing that. It's good. Sounds good fun.
Yeah, but she said that they were transitioning more into like people sitting behind a screen and just kind of pushing buttons here and there. It was more autonomous, it sounded, and it sounded something like FPV pilots wouldn't like that.
No.
You know, we want to be like doing more and behind the goggles. So, but there was another woman who was like the first female who ever passed the Part 107. So that was really neat. And an educator was there as well. And we kind of talked about just how there weren't a lot of women in the drone industry and kind of some of the barriers and maybe what reasons why that is.
Is just to jump in, is it any better represented for women in aerial photography as opposed to sort of more freestyle FPV pilots? Or is it still very, very low?
I don't know for sure. Like,
representation?
I don't have any facts about that, but it seems as though there are more aerial photography pilots who are women than FPV pilots. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but
I only see a few FPV pilots, but
yeah.
none of us really follow any photography stuff.
Well, I know
much,
there's
really.
in the UK there's the helicopter girls. So that's they've been running for quite a long while. They're well established as cinematographers and videographers. Got some very nice, very fancy kit.
I suppose it might be a bit more of a natural progression, even if you're coming from a photography background and you then like, oh, I could put a camera in the air here, or I could film this differently.
Yeah, that makes sense. But most of the aerial photography people there were so interested in FPV and want to start doing that.
That's good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you convert any? Did you tell them what to go out and buy? And
What was that?
do you think you've managed to convert any of them? Did you give them a kit list to buy and say this is how you start doing it and get on the Tiny Whoop course and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I converted the person who organized it, Elena. She's Women Who Drone CEO, and she was so interested in it and wants to get on board with it for sure. So maybe a little bit, but they also converted me. I would say I want to get my Part 107 now.
We still got to teach Tony how to count to 107.
Yes.
We're on 7 so far. Tone, what's up with your camera, man? Because it's kind of giving you like a cinematic feel. No, you've got like a. Has anyone else got that? He's got like a black border around him.
Have I?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Definitely got a lens flare.
That's God shining on me tonight.
You don't believe in God, do you?
I don't know.
Maybe one of the light bulbs in the dome then.
Wait, that's a flat Earth series that I'm gonna start next week. No,
I've got a little thing. Apparently, we won 4th place.
we didn't win. We are.
That's not winning.
It is anything. Well, it was a top 10, so
He polished his
made
head.
the top 10.
Romanji, yeah.
You never get that in boxing, do you? I won 2nd place.
I got
It is for us. We're like the worst.
You're even less likely to win 4th place.
Yeah. Well, we got 4th place, and you know,
4th place in what, Jack?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
The best drone podcast on Frank. Where was it again?
Don't ask me. I didn't find the link.
Some random website.
Yeah, I'll post the link. Hang on. It was Free Spot blog named
Well,
us.
why aren't you letting us sparkler for this winning a 4th place?
It means opening the.
I agree. We
All
got
right, hang on.
You should
Let me-
do the right one.
And also, I've been putting up Let's Drone Out episodes up lately. Slowly.
Yeah, so I
catching
heard
up.
the 4-minute 31 with you and Curry Kitten just basically giggling for 4 minutes.
That's what we do.
That's what
You should
friends
see us
do.
when we're
Tony.
together and we tickle each other. Even worse.
Yay!
Same room.
4th place.
You look really excited.
Woo!
I'll tell you what disturbs me about this 4th place is that it's such a narrow field. It's like podcast, drone-based podcast. We still only come 4th. Well, can we have like UK drone-based podcast,
The
or
rest of
UK
them-
drone-based podcast that's on every Thursday, then we have more of a chance.
Yeah, because
There is
even in UK drone-based podcasts, we're second.
Yeah, this is
How
even
are we
worse.
second?
Well, there's the what's it called?
Can't
The-
say the name.
Maybe we could win with an ethnic diversity. We add that into the categories.
Yeah, we should try.
Yeah, Let's Drone Out isn't racist much. I don't know, but I'm proud of you guys. That's what I was going to say. I'm really proud of you. It's an honor.
It's taken us 3 years.
Yeah, we're not as good as the Drone Trainer podcast or the Ask Drone You podcast. We're not as good as the Drone Radio Show.
Just to put it in perspective, if somebody was to dream up a new drone podcast and put it on the air tonight, I think they would be 8th, wouldn't they, or something?
Probably.
But we beat the FPV show.
Screw those guys. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point you make, Carrie, because it does say top 10, and there's only 9 on the list.
Why are we spoiling it for ourselves? Green Patches has just
we're being so British
donated.
about this, aren't we? That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Give an award to a bunch of Brits and they'll just completely tear it apart. Well, no, we didn't really win
Probably
anything.
shouldn't have said there are 9 because I would have thought maybe there were 20 and it would have sounded better being the 4th.
No, we can't even do that right.
Out of thousands.
We can't even come
of
bronze.
podcasts.
Jack,
might
you
have been.
got a light a fizzy thing.
Oh, the patches. Yeah.
Green Patches just donated
Why aren't you
$2.
buying sparklers, man?
I've got
Tony.
to buy a lighter as well because
Oh my word!
the lighter doesn't work.
If only there was a pound shop.
I don't like it. It bleaches my retinas. Hey, patches.
Just keep it away from your Goldilocks.
All good.
Hold it up, we can't see. I like it being this end of it and not lighting it and stuff. It's good.
There you go. There you go, Patches. Cheers, mate. And I'd like to thank everyone who tunes in every week and listens to this god awful monstrosity. And thank you for helping us get 4th place. If you really love us, I mean, really adore and listen to this podcast, and it provides you with any sort of help whatsoever, please go to our YouTube review and leave a positive review other than we got a nasty review, and then you read later on, and then it's actually one of our friends.
Do you
When
mean
you say reviews, you mean comment.
Yeah.
you mean iTunes review,
Yeah, iTunes review.
not YouTube review?
Sorry.
'Cause that's not a thing.
Yeah.
I think Gary's in the chat, by the way.
Hello,
Yeah.
Gary.
Everyone wave to Gary. Hi, Gary.
will-
He's so going to be called Gary forever now.
Don't accidentally click the report a concern. That won't help us. Sorry, Mako, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was thinking actually that there was an interesting statistic that they brought up at the panel that said often women, when they apply for a job, will only apply if they have 100% of the qualifications.
Mm.
And men, I think it was like they would do it 60%, so I think that's probably pretty close to true. I never applied unless I had 100% of the qualifications. But
Who just died?
Someone just fell down the stairs. What's going on?
Someone collapsed in shock.
What was that noise?
So yeah, guys, if you got iTunes, leave us a review,
Please.
please.
Thank you.
oh, there's a link.
Yeah. A similar statistic I've heard to that is that, I can't remember what percentage, but men are much more likely than women to ask for raises and things like that. But was there, out of your panel discussion, was there anything in particular that kind of came up as a major hurdle? I mean, obviously you've said applying for jobs is one thing, but was there anything else out of there that's a major hurdle?
Yeah, I think we really talked about just the way we were raised and how that was a bit different. And nowadays, there's more STEM and you're getting more of that. in the schools and the classrooms, and you see more girls doing kind of the hands-on stuff now. I know when I was in school, I took home ec, you know. I didn't have those kind of tech classes. I wasn't always encouraged to kind of play with the dolls and that sort of thing, but I always wanted to go out and play with the boys. And
that's where Jack
Tony likes the idea of that.
Jack used to be encouraged to do home ec and play with the dolls and stuff, didn't you?
I also think kind of staying in the hobby's hard when I just don't have that tech background. You know, I have to learn so much more. Like even the tools that we use, I was never really comfortable using. So I had like, well, which screwdriver do I use? Something as simple as that.
Have you bought yourself a pink set just to
I
add
have
to
not,
the cliche, or get your favorite parent, anodize it pink, you know, and just take it back? Rosie the Riveter, you know.
But I'm trying to learn more and more. I did that little build video of that frame. I know it's just a frame. It's not that difficult to build, but it was fun doing.
I don't know. You ain't seen Tony try and build a frame.
Let's not talk about that. I've got pink tools.
Talk about applying for jobs that you're not qualified for. God.
Yeah. Oh, you me? Oh, yeah.
It's interesting what you say about the STEM subjects, because over in the UK, the computer, I think it is actually the computer science subject now, is now a lot more programming based, but it turns out, at least at my daughter's school, to be not that popular as an option because it's hard, which is, I think, a good thing, because it should be hard and then it's very challenging. But because of that, there's like a handful of boys and girls that have actually chosen it, as opposed to like the what I call the soft subjects like sociology. That was very popular.
Yeah.
Well, if you look back through sort of the past few decades, back in the 80s, computer science was actually dominated by women in academics, in academia, and then all of a sudden it sort of became this. I think it was when it kind of became that computers became a hobby thing and you could access it. All of a sudden it stopped being such a female dominated area and became seen as a kind of masculine thing to do for some reason. But I don't know why that is or what we can draw from that, but that's something that's kind of fairly regularly shared in the kind of IET and that sort of group that, you know, look at where engineers come from over the past few decades. It's just like there's been this kind of change in who goes and does computer science. But I don't know what we do about that.
That sounds like a job for my trans activist friends. You know, like talking about we're going in dangerous ground that us idiots should never go.
Yeah,
especially this sort of like level of show. But I'm glad that, you know, girls are doing more like, you know, techie stuff and getting a bit more sciencey and stuff. It's like, it's bizarrely sort of like gender assumptions, you know. It's just like we're all people at the end of the day, you know. Tony's good at washing windows whether he's a woman or not. You know? And I look like Janet when I straighten my hair.
Oh, I
could be a receptionist even though I'm dyslexic.
I do love the Janet receptionist look.
I know, it's quite a good look, isn't it, really?
We have a fair number of girls at my school who are really into it now, and actually I don't know if I mentioned this last time I was on your show, but came to my race and watched me race and put on the goggles and then tried some flying at the end of it. So I have a bunch of girls who love it, probably just as much as the boys.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Did you get to meet and talk to Tommy at the show?
Yeah. I think he appreciated us in the audience. He kind of talked to us a little bit because it was more interactive in a discussion, because we were one of the few people who were FPV pilots there. So I think
we understand what you're saying. It's fine. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really interesting. I asked him about his acrobat because I'm on the lookout for really a really good micro Cine micro, I guess. I had a diatone one and I'm working on that one, and I was interested in the acrobat, but now I think I'm gonna go the Shendrone route and get a nutmeg.
Never heard of that.
I don't know these.
Yeah, they have the squirt and the nutmeg. I know, listen to those names.
Don't worry, we've got the potato wars going on at the moment.
Yeah, let's all say hi, Rotor Riot, because we know you watch and steal all the ideas. Nice to meet you again.
God, that's dangerous. Any views are not Curry Kitten.
Oh,
yeah,
hang on.
jobs.
Any views expressed by any guests on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of these hosts. Also, the hosts may talk rubbish as well, so ignore them.
But that is quite true.
But yeah, me and Frank did a potato quad ages ago.
Oh no. What have they called? They're not Rotor Riot anymore, are they?
What?
I think
What?
they are.
No,
Well,
it's
they renamed their Facebook
fan club, isn't
group
it?
to Rotor Riot Fan Club.
Yes. I didn't think it went down well, and I don't think they can change it for 20 more days or something, which I find quite funny.
Batwoman FPV asks, I've had my daughter's teachers asking about it today. They want her to bring her little quadcopter in to show them.
That's awesome. Hi, Batwoman.
Oh,
Yes, showing the love. At school, I've done a few presentations. You guys should look into doing that. You should go in and do a presentation for the whole school. Like, you don't have to do the whole school at once, but small groups can come in. You could fly for them. They would love it.
Imagine us lot turning up at a school.
My daughter suggested I go in for Careers Day, and I had to decline based on the fact that the other parent may lynch me.
and you don't have a career anymore.
I know. It's like, what do you do? I don't do anything really. I sit at home and sometimes I fly some drones and make some YouTube videos. Because all the kids would be, that's amazing. We want to do that. What qualifications do you need? None at all. You can just leave school now. It doesn't matter.
It's so
That is
funny
the last thing
how
you've seen on me.
it's so funny how into YouTubers they are. If they find out you have even 5 followers, you're a celebrity in their eyes. It's ridiculous.
That's the only thing that keeps me even vaguely cool at school amongst my daughter's peers. Otherwise, I'm just that stupid old man.
I'm a fan of your YouTube channel, Curry Kitten, and that's why you're here. And I mentioned you the other day, and someone said, "Oh, I really love Curry Kitten." I can't remember who it was, but they liked you as well.
Good enough. I'll take it.
Richard Wild One in the chat says his 10-year-old daughter flies fixed wings and is getting into quads, and she loves watching and learning the build and fix process. So there you go. Definitely need to put her on to your video.
Yeah, that'd be great.
God, I don't know whether me and Tony can be trusted. Like, you know, we'll pass the criminal background check. Have you done anything dodgy, Tone? It's just swearing. It's just.
Is it time to mention the dead hookers in the woods?
You don't want the kids searching this show being like, he's got a wank sock. Miss, what's a wank sock? Like, no. No, little Jimmy, no. Ruin that kid forever, see, whereas you're like doing good, and you know, in fact, we're probably making your reputation worse. I do apologise.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Green Patches in the chat kindly requests that Richard Wild One keeps his daughter's flying fixed wing. I imagine because Green Patches feels slightly at risk of going further down the global leaderboards.
Poor Green Patches.
Having another 10-year-old starting to fly quads. Because as we know, below 16 years old, you're far better at flying quads.
Yep.
And then you hit that age, and then all of a sudden, you're a terrible pilot. All of a sudden,
right? Should we go off topic?
Off topic. What?
No, off the topic that is Mako Reactra on our show, and talk about the big the new laws have come in, and now you've got to phone the airport to let them know that you've changed your battery and you're going to take off again.
5.5 nautical miles. All of that kind of stuff.
We've had some changes over here.
Have you got a rundown of the changes, Andrew? That you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got this bullet pointed in front of you.
Somewhere.
Like the organised man you are.
I'm not organised enough on that now.
I actually hate them, and I might even make a video on it where I phone Shoreham Airport 7 times in a row. I'm going to call you back in another 3 minutes because that's how long my batteries last.
I will mention one
I'm
thing.
taking off again.
Is that how bad it's going to be?
I've heard on the grapevine that airports seem to be less willing to grant an exclusion for somebody wanting to fly because they're slightly more worried about like liability for some reason. So people that have been flying in the zones now are, and I mention this just from comments I've seen around in various places, concerned that they're not getting the permissions that they thought they'd be able to as easily. I don't know how that holds up or not.
I've seen quite a few people who have done this, have rung up their local ATC when they're going to fly in what's the initialism for this one? I think it's flight restriction zone. So what it is that all the airfields and airports and all that kind of thing now have I think it's 5.5 nautical mile exclusion zone around them,
And the stretching bit.
and then a bit along the runway as well. That's a little bit further. That's in like kilometers or something because air law loves mixed units for some reason. And then, so if you're going to fly in one of those areas, you have to ring up the ATC and say, "Hello, I want to fly. Is that okay?" And they go, "Yes." So I've seen quite a few people who have done this, and it's been absolutely fine. Quite a few of them have been told by the ATCs to just like, yeah, if you're going to be flying there in that particular spot over the next 6 months, that's fine. Go away. Call us again in 6 months just so that we don't forget about you. I think there have been maybe 1 or 2 people who have been a bit adversarial when they're calling up, and it hasn't gone particularly well for them. But basically, don't be a dick, and it will be fine.
That's Jack knackered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend calling up Shoreham every time you're about to take off, but just call them before you take off the first time. Have a bit of a discussion with them. They'll probably say, "Yeah, you're far away. We don't care about you. You're flying below the tree level. It's fine."
So I guess you shouldn't say, "I want to go up really high so I can see your planes land." That would be unpopular.
That would not go down well. But if you say, "I'm flying below the tree level," or "I'm only going up to 1,000 feet," or whatever you're doing, and say, "I'm staying in this particular area," and it would help to have, some longitude and latitude or particular.
I don't understand longitude and latitude.
You don't need to. Just look it up on Google and read it out to them. It's fine. They'll know what it means.
I don't.
Just be polite to them. Just ask the question. They'll say yes. Why are you asking us, you idiot?
I can see this ending with a logbook. That's where I think this will be very similar to general aviation.
What we'll all have to write.
Well, you just keep
the weather was sunny.
Whether it's an app or whether it's a physical logbook, some way of saying I was here over these days and these hours. Because if you're saying this is my area, I'm going to be flying here. I hope you guys are cool with it. And ATC say, "Yep, you're absolutely fine." If anything happens, then the first people that they're going to call is probably you, at which point you'll have to say, "Here's my logbook. I wasn't flying on the day that event happened."
I suppose the other worry is you call them up and they say, "Yeah, you're fine for 6 months if you keep flying that area," and then somebody turns up and says, "Hey, you're in a restricted zone." You say, "It's okay, I've got permission from the ATC," and they say, "Prove it." And the ATC say, "Oh, yeah, I don't know. John was on that day. Did he write it down? Don't know. No, we haven't got anything."
I think there is a club or two that I have seen that have literally got an email with the ATC saying, "Yeah, you're fine for that amount of time flying in that area." So it might be worth doing that if you're going to be flying the same spot for that amount of time. But basically, I don't think it's anything to panic about until you've actually had that conversation. If they say, "No, go away. We never want you flying anywhere near us ever again. Stay away," then it might be worth actually bringing that up and see what we can do as a community. But for the moment, I don't think it seems like anyone's up against that kind of hard wall yet.
Well,
Here, I fly in a location that you're supposed to be within, not within, you have to be farther than 5 miles from an airport here. And I fly a place that's like 4.75. So I originally called the ATC, and the first time I called, they took like my name, my number, what time I was flying, a bunch of information, my license number, I think too. And then
driving or pilot
time, and they're just like basically leave me alone and hung up.
wow.
Frank, if you're in 5, however many nautical miles of an airport, but you flew 5 miles away in a different direction, is that okay? Just so we can clear that one up.
As long as you're flying away from the airport, that's fine.
Cool.
As long as you're within, visual line of sight.
I've got very good eyes, and I can see through my goggles.
Well, no, it's not you. It's your spotter that needs to have very good eyes.
Invisible Tommy is awesome as well. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd prefer this.
You always have.
I'd prefer this system if it was done on email, just so you've got something officially in writing.
Yeah.
I would probably not call ATC. I would, if they're going to have an email that you can maybe bot them out of hours that they might otherwise be busy doing more important stuff.
My favourite would be I call them, record the conversation, then I get drugged to court, and then I'm like, I have got proof, and then I play it, and then they're like, we're going to now sue you for recording us without our permission.
This is the other question which Mr. Fruity Cakes in the chat does ask, is who's going to enforce this? Who's going to drag you to court over this? Like, who's going to do that?
Who is going to enforce it?
Exactly.
I like his name as well.
Yeah, it's a good name. But yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about at the moment. Just a reminder to everyone that tomorrow, Friday the 15th, there's going to probably be some... Well, no, it's going to be Brexit news, let's be honest. But there's the possibility of there being some news about the drone bill that's going to be talked about, but it's not the real drone bill. Ignore it. Don't worry about it.
I think it'll probably get buried under all the Brexit stuff, to be honest. I think we're safe.
What's happening with Brexit other than we're not
allowed? I think we should dig up Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
I think that guy had the right idea.
Well, two-thirds of Parliament have voted against anything happening by the end of the month. So basically,
they've also voted against nothing happening. So
yes, it's just going to keep getting delayed.
They're all addicted to voting things down now, which is great. They're just enjoying it. Whatever comes up now.
Anyway, they better let you back in from your travels when Brexit does happen. And I'm really annoyed if they don't.
Drone Racer in the chat wants to know what Brexit is. It's a new drone coming out.
Brexit means breakfast. Everyone knows that. Anyway.
Travel is going to be interesting. In answer to that, Jack, travels is something with a lot of us who work in and out of Europe and the world travel regularly. Is a strong danger of it becoming a huge pain in the ass.
butt.
Yeah, I know. Well, do you think that's because the border control are going to finger you?
So everyone's listening to this to get away from this. So drones are brilliant. Drones are good. Hashtag.
Has any one of us flown this week? Because the weather has been unbelievable. It's been blowing like 60-mile-an-hour winds outside.
It does seem like good weather for like dynamic soaring, but other than
very dynamic.
Dom popped round with a glider, and I had to make a battery adapter. So I think Dom's going to go out gliding soon.
That sounds like fun.
Oh, good. That means the wind will drop, and it'll be fine for flying.
Mako, you been out lately? You flying a Hull, didn't you, though?
Flying where?
She flew tiny whoops in a Hull.
Yeah, Hull. Yeah, you're like one of those weird.
I was flying my mini quad outside this past weekend. It was finally warm enough.
Oh,
so that was fun. I flew around some trees, and there was snow on the ground. But
still got snow. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it won't go away. It won't melt. But I fly indoors a lot because we do the tiny whoop racing every week.
Yep. And I tune in now and again, and you pay me a little bit of attention on Twitch. And I'm like, oh, I love this girl. She's on Twitch. You're the best. How long till you get 5? You need to do it more so you get 5 continuous viewers and over 12, and then we can subscribe to you.
Pay attention to it. It's my husband's thing.
You need to. I'm sick of watching adverts for Call of Duty.
Is that why?
You need a more mobile camera.
Yeah, but I don't know. What did you see? Any interesting stuff on the drone video awards?
Yeah, I was going to ask what was the format of those? Was it
was
it bits of drone footage in other films, or was it all especially just shot from drones, especially for it, or what was the deal?
Teach us.
Well, the film festival part was a lot of just like videos of drone flying, like aerial photography and FPV videos. Like I think the one of Nurk when he was flying around maybe a museum. I don't know if you ever saw that video he did. I think he did it with his Shen drone Squirt. But I wasn't there for that part of it, so I don't really know much about that. But the day I was there, you could go into different workshops. So there was like an editing workshop. You can learn about editing footage, and there was someone really professional that's been doing it a long time and kind of teaching you about it. Andy Shendrone did his cinematic footage with racing drones, so he talked about that. Oh my God, did the flying freestyle with FPV. And there were places where you can go and kind of demo drones for people. So they had the cage, and they had this autonomous one that kind of followed you around. I think it was called a Skydio maybe. And then they did some FPV tiny whooping in the cage to kind of demonstrate that. And then we did some tiny whoop. This part was really fun. We did some tiny whoop racing in one of the exhibits. And the kids were holding up kind of wands with circle gates, and we got to fly through them and demonstrated. And there were a bunch of screens around the room where people can watch the screens. But it was in the 9/11 exhibit, so that was kind of interesting, the World Trade Center exhibit. And there were steel beams from the actual towers in there. So it kind of was like a little awkward flying around it at the same time. Because it's kind of like...
You don't want to crash into any of them.
It's also like, you want to be careful of what you're flying around and respectful of it, because there's so many emotions tied to that.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, man.
That sounds like
nothing from you, Tony. I don't want to know what you're going to say.
I'm not going to say anything about
Oh my God, no.
Just by saying that, I know what's in his head.
Yeah.
No comment.
All my workmates are fascinated by you. Like, they all wanted to know that...
We're not going down this rabbit hole.
Oh, please.
Quickly, thinking of something else to say. This weekend, there's Drone Clash happening in the Netherlands. Is anyone going? Anyone in the chat going? Do we know anyone who's going? It sounds interesting.
No, but I've been watching... I watched Peter Streeple's video about him checking it out, and I think Umagod's built one, hasn't he, for his team to do it. And it's essentially, you have like what is it, like a queen that acts as like the base, and a bunch of things attack it, and there's defenders and attackers. Have I got that generally right?
It's not just a drone fight then, it's something a bit more...
It is a drone fight, but there's like a base ship, and I think there's like fighters, so they're all sort of built slightly differently.
Oh, so it's kind of like a defender and a couple of attackers or something.
Yeah, so one
like
is like the sort of fort. So he's tried to build it so you couldn't get into the ducts, and it can like survive having things thrown on it, and it can obviously air mode over. But of course, the more you surround the ducts with like wire and stuff, as he found out, trying to make sure nothing got into it, the heavier and less efficient it becomes. So it's like full throttle trying to get this thing off the floor, which would fly for about 2 minutes. So he went through a whole thing about trying to make it more efficient and more usable. So that, I think that's sort of an interesting concept, that people are going to bring different ideas to it, and people have got like different ideas about how they're going to attack it. So some will go sort of all out with something they can smash, and others could just like, well, I'm just going to hang this string down and see if I can get it into a prop and that sort of thing.
I'm interested to see how this goes, because in the US there's been for quite a while, or quite a few years, I think it's at one of the Maker fairs, where there's Game of Drones, which is a similar kind of idea, but it's one-on-one as far as I can tell, or at least it's kind of, it's not teams, it's individuals, even if there's like a few of them in an arena at the same time, and they're, like you say, having strings coming down from them. But this sounds like it's a kind of a team versus team, as far as I can tell.
Seems that way.
But it's interesting. I am very tempted to like buy a last minute ticket and go and have a look. because it sounds quite fun.
You should do it. Film it and report it next week.
Yes, reporter.
Go on, off you pop.
Because I was meant to be going to Popham this weekend and sorting stuff out with KQRC, but unfortunately trying to get 3 busy people into the same place at the same time isn't working out so well. So it's probably not going to be this weekend.
You could see my invitations to the mini air show for things that are not working out so well.
What?
Inviting people to talk.
Oh.
I honest to God, I feel like
You have one job, Jack.
I felt like J.K. Rowling, but with a shit version of Harry Potter.
What? What's
rejection all around?
What? I think you're far deeper into Harry Potter lore than I am. What are you talking?
She was unemployed. She was taking her book round everywhere, and everyone was saying no.
So Jack's the alternate universe where J.K. Rowling was turned down by everybody.
Yep, and hung herself off the kitchen table.
Jesus Christ. What do you take medicine-wise at the moment, Jack?
Well, soon, in April, I will be cold turkey because it's going on the controlled substance list. And I will be in pain. A lot.
Oh. So you're going to be even more happy.
Yeah.
More joy.
Is this why you're thinking of giving up flying?
Yep. I'm very screwed.
So we need lots of donations from everyone for various analgesics for Jack so that he carries on flying.
I know. I'm not allowed cannabis-laced gummy bears. I'm not allowed pregabalin. I'm not allowed gabapentin.
When you say you're not allowed them, is this because of a stomach reaction or that people won't get them for you?
The government have stuck them in Ireland. They got a bit of a pregabalin issue there.
So are we sending you over to Ireland? Is that the thing?
No. You'll have to send me back to the EU where I'm allowed to be treated and put down.
We're going to have like export licenses for that. I don't know if you.
It's not too late to send them off to Dignitas if you want to just like cut it off there.
No, I'll end up going to Sweden instead of Switzerland. I always get them too mixed up.
You will.
That's the problem with dyslexia, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Damn it, I've come here to kill myself.
Shit below? No. Anyway. That was a bit of
So, Mako, would you like to tell us about your daddy?
Yeah, sure.
Tony, where were you? Tony, you
you
do this segment because
Yeah.
you wanted to learn stuff.
Hold on. We've got to stop the...
I've got nothing to lie. All I've got is this whole packet.
You
Like
need
them
to
all.
like
the whole
them all,
packet.
Jack.
That's the simple answer.
Angus Romer's King, have a beer on
Brad.
me, Jack.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the donation, $20 from Romer's King.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Everything for this.
This gives
You need
Tony
to go
some
shopping.
valuable thinking time.
Fuck. Hang on, let me just.
Remember, you swore.
Oh yeah.
Also, remember the camera's further up. Hold up hand.
Up there.
A bit
we go.
lower.
Damn it.
Have you got the fire extinguisher handy?
No, I'm just going to hope for the best
Oh well.
and push them all
There you
together.
go. That's
Be
all.
nice knowing you.
Fucking hell, that's kicked off quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was just gone in a second.
Look at it, it's molten. Fused together.
Wow.
Oh,
It's like it turned into a thermal lance or something. That's amazing.
man.
No one likes your t-shirt, by the way.
This was a Christmas present off my dear friend Frank.
Yes, it was.
Andrew Sashank, thank you, man. I love it. It was one size too big, and I've grown into it. So now it's the only shirt that fits. Because awkwardly, my new colleagues asked me, what do you do in the evening? And I'm just like, I sleep, I eat, and I, everywhere. And I was like, that's it. I just think of me as a big giant bear that's hibernating.
In Brighton.
Yeah. Which is a whole new rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, let's
So
not
big.
go there tonight.
But I would like to point out, if I was a big gay bear, Tony would be my cub.
Oh, you would not.
Yep, little cubby. Because you're not a twink. NJ would probably be NJ. You're older than me though, aren't you?
Yes, I am older than you, Jack.
Mentally and
NJ's really considering hard if he wants to acknowledge that question at all.
On the show.
why he came back.
The reason he said that is because my birthday is on Monday, and it's unfortunately a big one.
No way.
Yeah,
It's the big 3-0.
but maybe a bit more than that, I'm afraid.
Oh, shut up,
Oh,
NJ.
bigger than
You look
that.
12.
Yeah,
Really? Oh, man.
It can't be the life begins at.
yeah, it's that one.
Is it?
No way.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And you passed 37 as well. Or is it 27? When are you meant to do yourself in if you're a talented musician?
Oh, yeah, I think it's 20. Yeah, it's 27 is the kind of, there was one magical is completely the wrong word. There was one.
Don't use that at the trade tower.
Yeah, whatever age,
exhibition.
I think Jimi Hendrix died and Kurt Cobain. There's all these.
Amy Winehouse.
They all seem to. Yeah, well, that was a bleak turn for tagging off the back of my upcoming
So
birthday.
basically, you failed as a musician because you're still alive. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Exactly.
I'm actually stoked to turn 40 because it's a few years away, not too many though. But
All
I'm
right, just push that one on there. Don't worry about us. It's like, no, it's many years away from me, but I'd be stoked about it.
Well, you can fly in the like the older people race. I don't know what they call it at multi-GPIO. You can fly at the 40 plus race.
Yes.
So there's a perk. There's one
The
perk.
dementia special, I think they call
Yeah.
it.
Let's play Dementia.
Tony, what is this called?
Oh dear.
Is that a class we're going to have to bring in at mini air show, Tony?
Oh, please do. I might win that.
We're going to have to have geriatric X class, and then that's
Yay.
like just you.
Well, it looks like it's just going to be me anyway. I put out a shout out the other day. It was like,
You finally got a chance of winning a race at least.
I know.
Yeah, with only you in it.
So anyone listening who has an X class or has some parts for an X class or is looking to build an X class
Please be.
by May the, you know this better than I do, Tony. May the
It's the 12th.
There you go. I keep forgetting.
It's
Yes.
just all the days you haven't forgotten. It's just all the days are blending into one mass panic and stress.
Well, the thing is, it's because we've got like the camping starting on the 10th, and then the setting up happening on the 11th, and then camping starting on the 9th, setup happening on the 10th, and then the racing and everything happening on the 11th and the 12th, and it's just too many days. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Puts gun in mouth.
I do need some X-Class people to fly with.
Yeah.
What are you doing for your birthday, NJ?
Are we clubbing it together and getting NJ and X class? Is that what you're saying, Jack? Because I think Tony might lose.
That would be fun. Nothing too huge, I don't think. I'm slightly suspicious that something might be organised.
I have my suspicion after 5,000.
Yeah, but yeah, not too much is on the agenda, as it were. I'm just working through mountains of reviews, probably. Got an army of cine whoops here that need to get done. So I have actually been sent by Beta FPV a replacement for anyone that caught my live stream where I did reveal the sad undoing of my last Beta X 85X HD, which found its way under the wheel of a very fast moving tractor. It was quite an amusing video. I have been sent another one now, so I will be.
That looks really nice.
Yeah, I've just printed a new canopy for it. One of the problems with the original canopy was that you couldn't really angle the turtles too well on it. So I've printed a newer one which has a bit more room. But this flew so well on 4S. This was my favourite little whoop until it got run over. So version 2. We'll see.
Are you going to be taking their advice about only running it on 3S now? Or are you going to carry on with 4S?
I've already flown it on 4S. I mean, this is something I'll allude to in the review, which is that I think part of the problem was the PIDs they provided. I just think they were on a whoop that's running. I mean, my biggest issue was they've got a whoop running D-Shot 1200, which is just completely bonkers. I don't think it needs that at all. And running a protocol that fast, and then running D terms that are up in the sort of mid 60s. It's asking for trouble on 4S with such high kV tiny motors, and the motors spin so fast that it's not something that you'd ever hear. You can always hear that metallic ringing of a high D term on a 5-inch quad quite easily. You can use your ear to do that, but it's less noticeable on a tiny whoop. So I got mine tuned up on 4S with the PIDs. Me and Mr. Shutterbug had a chat about PIDs, and we both independently tuned ours 85X HDs, and we both ended up with PIDs that were around half of the ones that Beta FPV shipped it with. And I went back to them and said, look, I think your PIDs are too high, and this is what's smoking your ear sees. So I've gone straight onto 4S with it, and again, with my own numbers on it, it's been flying great. So I'm going to stick with 4S.
Well, hopefully they take note.
It was actually quite good to see Beta FPV. They put a blog post out about their investigation, and I know a lot of companies are quite crap when it comes to people blowing quads up. They're like, oh yeah, it's nothing, don't worry about it. They put a load of quads through torture tests and managed to blow up a load, and they figured that some of them were dodgy ESCs, and they blew up. They had a whole box of 4S failures, and then they had a bunch of 3S ones that didn't fail, which is why they came onto the idea about it's 4S. But it'd be really good if they could repeat that test, trying something like your PIDs, and see if they still had the same problem.
Yeah, because I mean,
numbers mean things when it comes to testing like this.
It does, and I kind of got a little bit disheartened when, I mean, Facebook groups, you see all kinds of people in, and you saw people just absolutely tearing them a new one. And I thought, well, hang on, you've got companies like, you know, I'll say it, but Runcam, who go and
we don't support the views that he. Sorry.
Yeah, but you know, they sort of discreetly changed the lens behind people's backs to fix a problem, and you know, they really upset the community with a few shady moves. And then you've got Beta FPV, who came out completely with their hands up and said, look, here's the problem. If this has been a problem for you, we'll totally honour fixing it. Here's all our research that we've done into why we think the problem exists. We're going to write it for everyone. It's completely the right way to do it, and I think they should be applauded for that. And as usual, you still get people going at them, and I kind of think that's a bit uncool. I think they deserve support for the fact that they've said we'll honour any, you know, if yours blew up because of CSE fire, if you had any, it was still a small number of people who had the problem, but if they did, they said we'll send you a new SC, we'll make it right, and here's the research so that we think we found the problem and we're going to fix it and move forward. So I think they're to be applauded for that, for dealing with things that way. But I've chat with the chaps over there, and I've chat with Nate, and yeah, I think that the PIDs are definitely something to do. I've told them as much anyway, so we'll see how things go. I'll continue to run it on 4S, and you know, I'll either eat my words or not. But Nate and I have certainly been flying 4S for quite a while on that quad without problems, so I think it's fine. I think the numbers just need to come down.
Right.
There is a question in the chat for Mako. Where from Concrete Snail? Concrete Snail. Good home. Where does Mako stand on the rise of brushed whoops and racing? Because you don't fly brushed yet, do you?
I fly both. Yeah.
You fly both, but you're still kicking ass without flying brushed.
Surely there's been a rise of brushless and a decrease in brushed.
Right, that's why I'm a little confused. I fly brush, like 65 millimeter brush, but I have brushless too. I have the 75 brushless. I actually really like flying this. I've had this one. I have another one around here, but I really like flying the 75 mil. It's a lot of fun. I feel like it lasts. I don't know. It just doesn't get the sag towards the end for some reason. I don't know if it's the battery. I use oh gosh, I wish I had it. I use like a 600 mAh battery. I wish I had it, but a lot of people use like the 300, right?
Oh, yes. What is that? A 2S 600 or a 1?
No, 1S. 1S.
Oh wow, it feels quite heavy, but it obviously works for you.
Yeah,
brushless. Oh, you got like a little blanket on you.
I'm cold.
Oh.
There is snow on the ground.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, it's quite meaty looking.
Not really. There we
There
go.
we go. It's your face. You got to cover your face. It face tracks you.
But anyway, yeah. So I use a pretty large battery here.
It is quite big.
It's funny. It's one question I get asked quite a lot on my channel is what batteries I'm using with various different whoops, and I'll say the same thing to them as I'll say now. It really doesn't matter. I use a load of cheap batteries because 1S, when you're pulling a decent amount of current from them and they're so small in capacity, they're going to puff and die anyway, and they're so cheap. So just use them, abuse them, and throw them away.
Just like Jack's girlfriends.
What girlfriends?
So, Tiny Whoop has their brushless motors now, so I'm really interested in making a 65 mil brushless.
You've also got a new. Is your little new frame going to come out? Do you think, or is it just for you? Well,
I think it's just for me. So this is the one they released or are releasing to the cabinet.
Cool.
Is this like a little exclusive?
I think they're doing a contest right now where you, and it might have ended, I don't know, but where you submit artwork and they'll print some of the frames for prizes.
Bring that up onto camera again. We've got you presenting so we can get a good look.
Sure.
Yeah, it looked great.
Oh, so it's got like a little cat on it.
That is funky.
So I think it's like a hydro dip print or something. Yeah. But yeah, they put my logo on. It's pretty awesome. I can't wait to get it. It's in the mail.
So you got your one coming. So it's going to be the same as that with your logo.
Yeah, and I'm not sure like if I should fly it. It's too nice.
That they may need just hanging on the wall.
Yeah, and Flywoo sent me these crazy gold bling sweaters. I think I'm gonna put them on it. It's just gonna
that looks like something you should probably wear around your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
And what about I've seen on your Instagram with your 1/28th RC truck. Have you been driving that around a lot?
No, not too much because we brought it to the New York City thing, the Drone Festival, and it got squished in the car. So it's a little, it needs some repair.
Oh, dear.
But maybe I'm hoping to like work on that a little bit because at the hobby shop we race at, they do car races too. So it might be fun to go down and try that out. They don't do it FPV, so I think if we walk in and do it FPV, they'll give us funny looks. But
I think that's the way to go. FPV, a truck.
More realistic.
My first FPV experience was a 136 Lozi Micro T with a 2.4 gigahertz little security camera on it, and yeah, they're just great fun to just drive around the house. I
think the problem is on like a racetrack is it can be too bumpy. You need to have the right combination of suspension and camera to get it right. It's just going to be like
get a bit sick.
Can't you get the Jello balls? Does that not do anything, or does that amplify?
Quite a small.
I guess it depends where you are. If you like an indoor sort of carpet track type thing, which could be a lot of fun.
What you need is some kind of 3-axis gyro for the camera, or the cheap way of doing that would just to build one big enough to hold a chicken, and then you mount the camera to the chicken's head. We've all seen the video of the guy who moves the body of the chicken.
I've noticed that by you mountain biking. I wear a chest harness, and it goes up and down. But if I put it on my helmet, the camera, I'm
still trying to find
works as a gimbal.
A video that I saw many years ago by, I'm pretty sure it was Alex Moss, who built his own gyro kind of gimbal thing, but it was like the chicken. He built it around the idea of the chicken, so it had like an arm so it would stabilize not just in direction, but stabilize it up and down as well, and it looks amazing. And I think he just used it in one little video. And then it never appeared again, and I really like one of those.
You just need the GoPro 7 now, don't you? So
it does work nicely. People in the chat are saying that the same thing that's in my head. I thought you needed an owl for proper bird gimbal type tracking, but chicken lets you do it on the cheap. They're much
How
easier to
are
get
we
hold
number
of.
4 for
Owls
best
are expensive.
FPV podcast?
I
We're
think
talking about gimbal owls.
Exactly.
Jack,
This is,
It's on topic-ish.
and
You've
it's
had-
inventive.
You've had a chicken in your flat, Jack.
We've talked about
Yeah, I bought
lawnmowers
you a
on
chicken,
here.
you ungrateful prick, Tony.
Oh, thanks.
That's what friends do.
What we
What
need
would
to
you
do,
do if you bought a chicken? If someone bought you a chicken?
gaffer tape a camera to it, said clearly.
Exactly.
Have you had a go? Has anyone had a?
chicken ball?
I mean, we had a go at the UK drone show. Mako, have you had a go with a tiny Hoover yet?
A what? A tiny Hoover?
Tiny Hoover.
Woofer.
Hoover.
Stop falling into gender stereotyping.
I don't know what that is.
So it's a little like
Is it like
hovercraft.
Okay, I do know what that is. I just didn't know what they're called. I haven't tried one.
They
No, I
are
would love
crazy
to.
fun because we had.
Someone had sort of, I don't know what it's called. It sort of looked like a wing and it had like a whoop in it.
Oh yeah, that's
Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's an. What's that one called? I can't even remember. what that
I've seen
is.
something like that,
Switch?
which like it's got a wing attached to it.
Yeah.
I did. I have actually FPV'd my Hoover once.
He's
I
been
entirely
way
believe
too
that.
I'm not even joking.
on his own.
Anyway,
I
I
say
think it's
FPV'd it.
fine.
What's your control method? Surely it's your hand like this.
no comment.
Is this related to your live streaming, Tony? Of all
Yes,
your...
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I'm so
related
tempted to buy a Roomba and stick an FPV thing on it, even though you'll have no control over it. Just
sounds
take
like
it
a-
around Tony's house and make a big thing of it and be like, Tony, I've made you a present, an
Hey!
FPV
Roomba.
Roomba. Yeah, so he can sit there and like watch and like not have control over it.
That sounds
like
like
to
an
talk about it.
excellent 24/7 live stream.
Oh,
It does.
yeah, but
Right.
his house is not big enough to 24-hour Hoover it.
I just want to quickly talk about Mako and her father and what her dad did and where he was stationed and things like that, because this is really
Because we know
really
Suffolk
interesting.
people.
We do.
Yeah.
And I offended them. I'm sorry.
I guess for those of the people who don't know, my family, we're an Air Force family. My dad, who's no longer with us, was in the Air Force and he was a tech sergeant and he was a mechanic. So he worked on planes and he worked on the SR-71. That was one of the planes he worked on, which is a pretty famous plane. It's known for being really fast, like 3 times the speed of sound, over 2,000 miles per hour. The CIA basically went to Lockheed Martin and asked them to create this crazy surveillance plane. So that's what they came up with, and there were about 30 made. And my family was stationed in California at Beale Air Force Base, which is basically the home of the SR-71. So pretty much all 32 of them have been in and out of that Air Force Base. So my dad's probably climbed around on all of them. But he was a crew chief, so he was in charge of basically all the mechanics and making sure the plane ran. But the plane was incredible. I went on my honeymoon to go see the actual plane that my dad worked on the most and got to touch it and everything. It was really exciting. But
That's cool.
yeah, but we went to the Smithsonian Museum in DC and we saw a ton of World War II planes. And the SR-71 was just huge in comparison. I can't even describe how big it is. I don't even know how they got it in the museum, like if they had to take off the roof or take it apart into pieces, but it's humongous. But it's made of titanium and it's pretty loose fitting. So what happened was when it wasn't flying, it would leak fuel.
Yeah, that's
And
famous.
my dad bathed in fuel, I think at least once. But it would then, when it would fly, it would, the speed and the heat, it would expand and then it would fill those holes and it wouldn't leak anymore. But he went up in the plane a couple times as a pilot and he had to wear a spacesuit because it's like it goes up like 80,000 feet. But it flew a lot of hot missions, they call them. So, and they don't know exactly where they were flying, but my dad did know that they would fly over Nicaragua, Cuba, and then we were stationed in Okinawa, and that's where kind of the big missions go out of. And then also in Mildenhall. How do we pronounce it?
RAF
then
Milton,
your neck of the woods.
That's in the UK.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was stationed there, and they flew a bunch of hot missions out of there too. But he was also in Saudi Arabia. He traveled a lot due to his job.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that was absolutely one of my like childhood poster planes that I just absolutely obsessed over.
It's one of the sexiest looking planes in the world.
Oh,
isn't it?
incredible! It's sort of the thing that 9-year-old you would draw if someone said, "Draw me a plane," and you crossed it with your favorite spaceship and everything else. I mean, the technology. Consider it was designed in the 70s, right? Was it late 60s, early 70s? It was.
Yeah, I think it came out in like the 60s.
And some of the technology. I mean, even the way the nose cone retracted in and out of the engines to make sure that the air coming in, because it got such incredible speeds that the nose cones had to move in and out to be able to bring the speed of the air down to where it could actually combust. It was just insane technology in this thing. And so I read, there was lots of reports of people saying, well, we've got the official speeds of this, but there's actually, it's theorized that this thing could go way faster than that, but they never wanted to actually publicize just how fast this thing could go. There's lots of ATC stories of people saying there's stuff we've seen move across a radar that we think might have been a 71, but they've we officially weren't told, but it was just ballistic, and it probably was that on reconnaissance, on the edge of space. Incredible.
There is an absolutely excellent book on the SL-71 and some similar ones that came out of the Skunk Works. So the book is Skunk Works by Ben R. Rich, and I absolutely highly recommend that, and how they kind of trialed different fuels for the SL-71 and ended up almost blowing themselves up. All the talk about how like the like you say, the cones in the engines like produce so much thrust through weird bits of maths and things. Like it's a great piece of kit. And someone in the chat, I will check who said it.
The one who flew over his house.
It was Mr. Fruity Cakes again. Said there's an SR-71 at the Imperial War Museum, American Air Museum at Duxford, and I have seen that many times.
I think I've seen that actually. Now I'm thinking about it, because I went to Duxford and flew a Tiger Moth, and I'm pretty sure that I did see it there. Now I'm thinking about it. It was really big.
Mako, have you got any classified info?
Can you tell us any secrets?
If I tell you, I'll
never kill you.
One of them. My High Club, baby.
I think the
tell Jack and then kill Jack, please.
Tell Jack and then kill Jack.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one. That is one very cool dad. And
That's
I know. Imagine if I become a dad. What did you do? I cleaned windows for a living, son.
It's kind of too bad in a way, though, because no, I shouldn't say it that way. It's unfortunate because I didn't realize growing up how like sick his job was until I was really old, and then he passed away. So I didn't get really talk to him more about it. I would have loved to get some dirt.
Yeah.
Cool. I now understand.
Yeah.
That fuel thing's interesting, because I remember seeing a good documentary about it, because it sounds insanely dangerous, but I remember the engineer saying, actually, if something was on fire, you could throw that sort of fuel over it to put the fire out, because it was such non-combustible somehow that it was not considered dangerous, that the fact that fuel just leaked out of it when it was on the ground like that.
I know.
That's crazy that it expanded that much when it was going that fast.
Yeah, who did the maths for that? Don't worry about the leak, it'll be fine once it's in the air.
Can you imagine sending it to the machinist, though? Are these your tolerances? Because you do realise it fits together like a soggy jigsaw puzzle.
When it's in the air, it doesn't.
No, when it's up at 100 and something degrees, it makes a difference.
It must have got quite warm.
Yeah, it was, I guess, like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the cockpit.
Yeah.
I think at certain speeds it was considerably higher. It was like, really getting
and
on.
The external surface was like over 600.
Yes, it was.
I got really, really hot.
Pretty insane. I mean, imagine being told what you're about to go and fly. Don't be concerned. The thing you're getting into is about to absolutely hemorrhage fuel. But as soon as you get to this point in altitude, all glue itself together. Don't worry about the fact the nose is going to glow red hot. That's cool too. We've sussed all that out, done the math. I mean, it's bonkers. And we'd like you to go at the edge of space and then fly over, Russia or wherever. A very far place.
It may have been Russia. It may not.
It's crazy.
And don't worry about the U2 that got shot down by a missile a few years ago. Like that won't happen again. We promised.
Going too slow.
Well, that plane was one of the famous stories about that from, I can't remember who the pilot was saying that, whenever they got a missile fired at them, they just put the accelerators on, put the throttle all the way forward, turned on the reheat, and they just outpaced it. Like, see you later, missile. That's
turn the seat around and watch it fail to keep up.
That is.
I didn't tell you, my dad actually worked on the U2 also.
Nice.
That was his other.
Yeah. That is a cool dad.
Was he offended by that shitty band?
I think he liked it.
I'd be like, this plane doesn't deserve that, Bono.
But it's crazy because the SR-71 would go up so high, yet be able to take surveillance of like parking lot lines, basically back in the 60s. Like how? Imagine what they really had now, right?
The lens on the camera that was ridiculous, wasn't it? That was like one of the most expensive pieces of kit on the aircraft, and it had this just insane zoom. And like as you say, you could see read license plate numbers and. From however high they were flying. It's mad.
So your dad probably definitely met aliens.
Flew all four corners of the earth, Tone?
Yeah.
Just finishing this up. Does anyone have any recommendations for more space films? Because I've recently got through all the list I can think of. So Apollo 13, Right Stuff. First Man,
Mars Attacks.
What about Interstellar and Gravity?
Yeah, I don't like them so much.
Gravity, you need to wear headphones or have a really good sound system.
Interstellar is very much based on like physics, the scary nano stuff, but
they did the black hole simulation as well, didn't they? That like they did. Put a load of supercomputer time on simulating this black hole to do some weird science mathy stuff that we've now know more about black holes because of that movie, which is weird. But there's also on
Aliens.
On Netflix, there was a documentary called Mercury 13 that I watched recently that's kind of bringing this back to the original theme of the show. It was about the 13 women who went through all the testing and training for the Mercury program.
Yes, my parents said I need to watch that. It was really good.
It is a really good documentary. But yeah, it's watching that as well as watching The Right Stuff kind of puts a lot of things in perspective. And First Man.
Tony's wrong about the Earth being flat.
About many things, Jack. About many things.
Oh, what's the one with the women being the computers at NASA on something?
Yeah,
that's
was
good.
A black woman, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're the computers before they were computers.
Yeah,
I forgot what it was called now, but that's a good film. So, something it's like I can't remember. Someone look it up. Come on, chat. Where are you?
Let's play Dementia. Oh, what was it called?
I'm the oldest. I have a right to forget things.
Red Dwarf, Life, Space 1999.
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. There you go.
There you go. Hey, Frank worked out.
I was just testing you guys. I'm not honest.
Tune in next week to play another game of Dementia. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Shall I end the show?
Yes, please.
Okay. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. You've been joined by Andrew Frank.
Bye.
The not only wonderful, beautiful, and talented MakoReactra.
Bye. Nice talking with you.
Oh, she's so lovely.
I'm so ready to hijack that goodbye. I thought about it.
And the lovely, sexy, and talented, but possibly will get kicked out because of Brexit, because we're apparently all Brexit.
It's like a new version of the Windrush. Yeah, goodbye, everyone. See you soon.
Sorry. We love you. You're an asset to our thing, and I'll make sure Frank fills in the appropriate paperwork to prove that you
sponsor me to stay.
And if it all goes wrong, you can either marry me or Tony. Be joined by my little Tony.
For sure.
I think you'd rather be kicked out than marry one of us.
It's a double-edged sword. I'm not going to lie.
I'll tiny whoop the rings down the aisle for you.
Oh, would you? Thanks so much.
Aw.
Let's make this a thing.
Right.
Let's do a video.
Quick, everyone run.
I can't talk. Everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
And I've been Bright Until I Fly. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And I really appreciate it. 4th place.
Thank our Patreons, Jack. Come on.
And I'd like to thank Patreons, anyone who sponsors, everyone that's tuned in. Just a few: Boo Boo, Ben Sweeney, Ladders, Clive,
First Person, Green
Tribal,
Patches, Dave Story, Richard Warwick. Some of them Falling with Star. What's up? I'm going riding Sunday if you want to come.
Mr. Fruity Cakes, give $1 onto our Patreon. We'll make you a mod because I'd love to see your comments.
Green Patches, Tribal, FBV.
Some of the girls, read the girls. Tornado Girl,
Batwoman.
FPV.
Mr. King for his lovely donation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And good night.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Who can say the last word? Me.